Hi,
Hello.
John.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Where are you coming out of?
I'm in a beach town that's between Los Angeles and San Diego
Oh,
called San
wow.
Clemente.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's a great part of
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
used to live in LA and during the pandemic, I went, I'm out.
yeah,
Most of my business went online.
yeah,
So,
right on. Well, hey, man, thank you for taking a minute out. Before we get into your life and the work that you've done, I want to know, how did you get through the pandemic? How did you get through that time period? And how has it changed the way that you do things now that the world's opening up?
what I did, well, we moved. I actually at the time had a brick and mortar business, music academy. And we moved that completely online. And then in that odd period where there were still outbreaks and people were kind of trying to open up things and it was failing, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to go completely online. So I actually had someone take over the lease, and now I do online courses and such. Do a bit of teaching online.
Good deal. Has it always been music for you since you were little? What was your dream growing up?
Man, music caught me pretty early on. One of my earliest memories is my dad had a reel-to-reel tape player. Don't know why, and he had the Beatles Help album, and it was the British release that had a lot of the score on it. And I used to just sit transfixed listening to that. I mean, I must have been 4 years old or something. So, and then I took up drums at 11, made my living as a drummer through my late teens, through my 20s, and started teaching voice as well. Took some voice classes and went, this is interesting, because I didn't think I could sing. And then I started working with other singers, and then I got into voice science and started training other voice teachers.
So, what was the first live show that you ever saw that blew you away?
My very first concert was Queen with Freddie Mercury.
Wow.
Um, was the News of the World tour.
Wow. That's one hell of a way to start it all out.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the show to this day that really blew me away. And I mean, I saw the original Pink Floyd The Wall tour
Wow.
in 79. Um, was probably Peter Gabriel, uh 80, God, he's six, but it was the tour for the So album.
Wow. Yeah.
Was just, and also I remember being really I mean, I sat up front so it helped, but Super Tramp on their Breakfast in America tour
Wow. Man,
was a
that's some
good one.
amazing music. So, how did things begin for you? How did your career start taking off? You've been a part of a lot of productions, lots of things have happened. How did it all start?
Yeah, well, it started, I mean, I did a lot of performing and a lot of function bands, doing lots of gigs, lots of casuals, clubs, weddings, corporate events. And then got an original band, got an independent record deal, that went belly up. And then I had a chance as a drummer to get signed with another group that was getting signed. And at that time, I think I was in my early 30s, and I thought, no, I don't want to spend time in a van doing this thing. And I started teaching. And then just through teaching, I've actually had a lot of opportunities, been able to tour, speak at some interesting venues like Paul McCartney's Liverpool Institute, work with even some heroes of mine. So that's been really fascinating. And that's just been through getting out there, teaching, word of mouth.
So, talk to me about how you got to this point where you are a go-to person to help people with their voice. How did this happen?
That was kind of I think it's a longer process, but being in LA certainly helped. And you just start to have people come to you and they get a good result and they refer you to someone else. I was also involved with an organization at the time that was doing a lot of teacher training. So I would go out and do master classes and work with other voice teachers. So I was getting a reputation in other countries as well. I've done master classes in the UK, Ireland, Australia, Japan, Poland, throughout the US. So that was helpful as well. But a lot of it is just word of mouth.
So, what was the period of your life that you grew the most? Whether it's creatively or professionally, what was that period? And it could have been hard, it could have been exhilarating, but what was that time for you that made you grow the most?
Well, I'll tell you, I just recently had a time of pretty profound growth. I was diagnosed with a benign essential vocal tremor, which is the muscles in the vocal tract just begin to spasm as a rhythmic spasm. And so I had to undergo some pretty intense vocal therapy just to get my own voice back in shape. And they don't know what causes it. There is no known cure, but through the exercises and really working this has really helped me grow as a teacher and as an educator, and just giving me even more empathy for students. And I remember at the time, because I knew there was something wrong with my voice and I couldn't figure it out. And I didn't know if it was because I'd had a pretty bad bout of COVID. I didn't know if maybe it was long COVID or some other health thing. But when I got the diagnosis, I remember going, okay, I expected it. I suspected that's what it was. And then I gave myself like 15 minutes to be upset. And then I said, okay, this is a gift from the vocal gods. This is a challenge. So what am I going to do with it? And the work has actually been very enlightening.
So, who's been a hero for you in your life? Who have you admired, or who's been kind of a hero for you?
Boy, well, certainly educators and teachers. I am a huge fan, being one myself, but I'm a huge fan of teachers and expertise and people who really commit themselves to understanding something on a very, very deep level. And one of the things I find that's rather sad is expertise has been under attack as of late. And even when I'll do some YouTube videos, I inevitably get the person that says those that can do, those that can't teach, as if teaching is something that's less than. And yeah, I didn't have the big career, but teaching is a it's a discipline to learn to do that. And I've certainly had musical heroes, the Beatles. Peter Gabriel's been a musical hero. Great songwriters like Neil Finn from Crowded House, etc. I had very, very deep heroes as far as drummers. Tony Williams from the Miles Davis uh, band, and as well as his own lifetime, was a huge influence. Terry Bozzio from Frank Zappa, who I was fortunate enough to study with for a while, was another hero.
So, you've mentioned some pretty big acts that you've seen and a lot of musicians. Who's out there right now that you haven't seen live that you would love to catch live?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think because I've seen a lot of people live. Who haven't I seen? Um, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
mean, what's coming up top of my head? You know what? I never saw Journey, and
Yeah.
yeah, maybe and Arnell. I think Arnell does a fantastic job of working with that group. I
Yeah.
mean, Steve Perry obviously is a very tough act to follow, but I think he does a wonderful job. So I think maybe they would be fun.
What is the fuel for you? What is the fire in your torch that makes you get up every day to feel motivated and to do this work and to help people?
That's it right there, is helping people. I really feel that we are on this planet to contribute and to help others in our own small way. And so in my very small way, if I am able to help, that's what keeps me going. That, and I just have a thirst for knowledge. I just absolutely love learning things. And part of my problem is I enjoy it too much and I start to go off track and my interest will go all over the place. So I have to curtail that and be a little bit more disciplined with that. But those are the things that really excite me.
What are you the proudest of that you've done in your life up to this point?
I would say creating my online courses. I've put a lot of work into those, and it's a way to be able to reach people worldwide and to help them. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of how those have come out. And also, my books were a pretty heavy lift. It's pretty nice to have a book out there.
So you've been around, you're pretty learned and wise. I'm curious if you have a dream tonight. You run into the 20-year-old version of yourself. You could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived. What would you tell that young version of you?
I would say that permanence is an illusion. Wherever you think that you are, you never land. You're everything is changing all the time. So don't stress about where you are and don't get over comfortable with where you are because it's going to change.
Are you happy with how music has evolved in your lifetime? And we've come from the Beatles to a lot of electronica, and then we've reverted back to vinyl. There's all of these like gives and pulls that have happened in this industry. But overall, as we look at 2023 and into the future, are you happy with what you're seeing as a musician and a teacher?
You know, it's interesting because I really feel that it's a very personal thing how people relate to music and how they connect with music. And so it's hard for me to judge current music from my own standards and experience. I think there's a world of amazing music. I mean, someone like Steven Wilson and Porcupine Tree, who's just doing mind blowing music to a decent audience in this day and age. I love the advent of rhythm in music now, the production techniques that have evolved. We've lost a bit, I think, in melody and harmony, but I think that's also part and parcel of the new tools that are available. Um, I do find it troubling that music is so ever present that we don't appreciate it on the same level. I remember seeing a study that people are exposed to music now more than they've ever been, but they're less and less connected with it. And there was something, it wasn't the most convenient thing, but there was something about being forced with vinyl. You couldn't transport it, so you had to sit. And that sitting and allowing an album to play, it wasn't as easy to skip songs. So songs that maybe in the beginning you'd be tempted to skip, you forced yourself to listen and they grew on you. And also artists were able to program albums like Dark Side of the Moon that were maybe more of a journey, whereas things are more playlist and Spotify. And I absolutely take advantage of all the technology myself. But it's interesting. When you give people only what they want, they miss out on so much. And now they're talking about AI can predict hit songs with, I just saw the article yesterday, something like 97% accuracy.
Wow.
So it's going to start to make this pre-programmed music. People will enjoy it. And absolutely, I want people to have music in their life constantly, but I think people are going to miss out on some deeper experiences with music.
If you can meet one musician alive on the planet right now and spend a little time with them, who would it be?
Probably Paul McCartney.
Yeah, yeah. Paul's pretty cool. Everyone out there has a perception of you. There's pockets of people, family, friends, clients, colleagues, fans, but you ultimately are in charge. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, that's interesting because I spend a lot of time working in meditation, and really coming to the conclusion that the self is an illusion. So I try not to spend too much time in self. However, to answer your question, I see myself as someone who is able to take information and give it back to people in a way that's maybe a little more understandable, and in a way that they can connect with, and show them how to use this information. So I think at my heart, I've always been an educator. That's how I see myself.
Wonderful. John, if anyone wants to get your books, hire you, learn more about you, anything about your life, where can they go?
Go to John Henny, JohnHenny.com.
Excellent. John, this has been great, man. Thank you for opening up. You got a great story. I feel the passion. Thank you for giving me a part of your story.
Thank you so much.
And I apologize for getting your name wrong last time.
Oh,
There,
that's all right.
you know what? You know what's weird? In Kansas City, there's actually a John Henry Clothiers, and that completely just popped into my brain. I'm a
I get
creature of
John
habit.
Henry all the time. John, the racehorse John Henry,
Oh
the
yeah.
wheel driving man, yeah, yeah. Although now people remember Henny because it was a name no people couldn't remember, but now it's slang for Hennessy cognac.
Uh-huh. Yep. There's
Yeah,
you know what was so bizarre about that when you say that? There's a senator that ran for a while. His name was Roy Blunt in Missouri.
yeah.
And he wasn't really, I mean, he was actually really a bad dude. And the kids voted him in because his last name was Blunt. Can you believe that?
I never put that together, man.
How bizarre is that, man?
Oh man, Trump's going to change his name to Kush.
Yeah, right. Oh, man alive. John, this has been great. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Best of luck. Happy trails, man.
Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Cheers. Take care.